Live 101.5, it's 2/3 of the morning mess. Natasha Castles.
And it's Anish.
With special guest, Jon Bellion.
What's going on?
A little bit. I'm great. You, excuse me. Best year ever goes to you, my friend. Over a year later since we sat down in studio.
Yes.
You heard your record, All Time Low, for the first time on the radio.
With you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is I'm telling, like I was saying to homie before, this is like the only interview I was like very cool with. You guys put on so early. So
thank you.
Incredible.
Thank you so much.
Incredible.
Thank you. We appreciate, of course, sitting down with you. You've always been such a good spirit. It shows in your interviews and your music all together. Now, you've been touring for over a year now, it feels like, right?
It makes no sense. The first time we spoke, when the album just dropped, we did, 375 people? I don't even know what the cap
Crescent
was.
Ballroom.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're in, I don't even know the name. I don't even know what the name of this place right now. But it's
America.
much bigger. It's much bigger. And I would have got off the road and started creating for the next one, and there was nothing that was gonna not do that. But then when they showed me the size of the rooms and the fact that they were gonna be sold out, I was like, all right, if anybody didn't get tickets, this is the last time to see the show. But we didn't expect it to be quadruple the size of when we started. It's very crazy.
I know the decision behind adding the third leg of the tour has to do with the sweater you're wearing right now.
Yes.
Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. So basically, in December, we have a concert called YourPalooza. My homie Drew, he's I didn't even realize I've been wearing this every day. I didn't realize. He got in a diving accident where his C5 broke, and now he's struggling for movement from his neck down. He basically drowned. Both lungs collapsed 100%.
Wow.
And so we're working with Christopher Reeve's Foundation for a benefit night to benefit his medical bills and to the cause of basically like research for spinal cord injury victims and how we can help and what we can do. So that's what that's about. So we were in Europe, actually, and we were supposed to leave for it. And right before we left for 21 Pilots, I found out that happened. So,
oh, wow.
And it was one of those situations where, like, I could not get out of there was no way for me to get out of the 21 Pilots situation. Not that I wanted to, but it was just, do I go home? Do I not go home? I don't know how to. And then when we were supposed to leave for Europe, it was just, I had to take that break because we were already on the road for 9 months at that point. It 10 months or whatever. So it was just time for me to say, I have to take a break, even though I've never been to Europe, and I'm sure you guys, and every show was sold out, and it was great, but it was just like, I got to go be with the homies. So we found out ways to kind of pool our thoughts together to do this YourPalooza thing. So Nike's going to help out, send some shoes, and the Christopher Reeve Foundation's like officially in.
Wow,
so it's going to be really cool. Yeah. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Should be good.
I mean, and you've been able to, we were talking just now about how when the record first came out, there was just a gradual, like, organic growth in terms of success.
Totally.
We're on what part of your tour right?
Third part.
This is the third
plus
part of
21
the tour.
Pilots, plus the little bit of Europe that we actually ended up doing. So, I mean, it is. I've been trying to find an artist that did 3 parts and doubled and tripled the room sizes all 3 times on the same album, and I don't know when that's like the last time that's happened. So
that's why you're here.
It's cool to be riding it out, man. I'm chilling. We out there playing the same stuff. It's just a much bigger audience.
Yeah, and speaking of which, I mean, I know that like some of the artists that I follow, like I'm a big fan of like a Lady Gaga, for example, and she would do a lot of like touring, and then while she was not like on stage, she was helping and working on creating the next record.
Totally.
I don't know. Are you in that place right now?
I don't do that. I'm like, if I'm writing for other people, I'm writing for other people for 4 months straight. If I'm working on my album, I'm working on my album. Like, I can't be on the bus. It's going 75 miles an hour, trying to like, because I do everything myself. I'm not like, and I'm not belittling rappers in any way. But if you're a rapper, you sit on the bus, put on headphones, you can write to a beat. You have verses, and you can apply them to beats. Like, and you can switch the beat a million times, but the verse is still going to be there. For me, I've coordinated string sections, and I'm doing the accompaniment on my album and stuff like that. So to be in a bus studio, and they gotta be up, do meet and greet, you gotta do interviews, and then play a show, and then you have 7 hours before you get in at 7 a.m. So it's like, when am I gonna, if I'm gonna stay healthy,
to really give it your all?
I'm fighting being sick right now, let alone putting in 6-7 hours a day, 8 hours a day in the bus. Yeah, right.
Okay, my bad.
Well, one thing I did notice, you said something during your sound check where you talked about just each one of your practice sessions, just grooving out with the band. Every ending comes out differently.
Yeah, totally.
Even the progression comes out differently.
Totally.
Is that difficult when it comes to recording records?
Yeah.
Like when you come to finalizing what you really want, you're like, damn it, it sounded really good this time.
I say,
what if we do this?
The last 3-4 months of an album for me are always just giant dry erase boards and signs all over the studio, and me pacing back and forth and just asking the homies, like, is this too, like, would a 13-year-old understand this and a 29-year-old understand this?
Do they hear what you're hearing?
Male understand this? Is a female? Is there duality here? Is the snare too loud? Is it too? that attention to details could be obsessive. It's like a monkey on my back, but I definitely, you're right. Yeah, it's pretty painstaking.
Do they hear what you hear though when you're describing certain tones and whatnot?
Nah, I think a lot of people joke around when they watch the behind the scenes. They're like, I have no idea what he's talking about. But then when it's finally like in front of them, it kind of works. Yeah, exactly. But I think that obsessiveness though is what led to us doing this giant room today off the same album, because it stretches. That means, I feel like every album when it comes out, you have waves of people that you have to get it past, and it's your core fan who's gonna love anything. You could fart on the mic and they're gonna love it,
Of course.
But then are they gonna show it to 10 people? And out of those 10 people, how many out of those 10 are gonna go show it to another 10? And how many out of those 10 are gonna show? So I think the longevity of the tour and the longevity and the success of the album is just speaking to the fact that we are obsessive about the product. And if the product's that great, then it's going to stretch. It's going to go a long time. Yeah. So, I'm going to keep being obsessive about it for sure.
Well, that's good.
What's awesome about your music, obviously, with that obsessiveness comes there's, like you said, there's levels to listening to it. There's the lyricism. There's just the sounds, the different, obviously we know your soundtrack ventures when it comes to making music and whatnot. So is there a reason, or I guess, is there a more calculated plan to come into play when it comes to making your music videos? Because for All Time Low, we get a bunch of, behind the scenes, and you've given your fans an insight to what it is to be part of your creative process.
Totally.
Are you waiting to come out with an animation for those songs for your album, or?
You know what it is? It's and I hate to be no and shut it down, but I am so over content for this album. I would be doing my fans an injustice to shove more things down their throat. And I had plans for all of these different things. I didn't know I was going to be on the road for so it's time to. We were going to put out a video for Overwhelming. They were going to do all these different stuff, and I was kind of like, you know what? It's time to close the chapter. Accept this for what it is.
Wow.
I just, as an artist, I have to be honest about that. I can't. They keep approaching me for more opportunities and more things to do and more events and more shows and more festivals. And I'm like, listen, the money's phenomenal and that's great and that's okay to make a living off of what you do. But at the same token, it's like my core fans who've been with me from the jump, they're dying for new music. So it's time for me to lock myself away and go work on something new. They don't need a video to the song they've heard a bajillion times. It's some of them will be like, I don't care, I want it all. Make 20 videos for 20 songs.
See, I wasn't sure if you were waiting to come out with some type of animation for the video and then have some type of storyline going. You know,
I think
how you
the
just
next
imagine.
album is going to...
The next album is...
So yeah, it's time for me to disappear for a year or two to actually work on a great album.
Okay, so then if you could tell us what was the biggest thing in terms of having to turn it down that you were just like, I'm sorry, I really wish if the timing was just a little bit different.
What, like an opportunity?
Yes. Yeah, an opportunity.
I'd say records, like certain records that I knew so-and-so featuring so-and-so featuring myself, and I was like,
okay.
Oh, this could, but that I knew, I'm like, this is going to stretch me another 5 months of appearances and late night TV and doing this and doing that. And that stuff is cool, but again, I don't really care. I just want people to listen to my music. But then again, it's like, where's the line? Where do you toe that? Where do you say it comes with the life, it comes with the territory, whatever? But I feel like I said, me being successful and setting up a life for a future family or being successful is two totally different things than being famous. And some people want to be famous, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. Some people want to be blown out, Kardashian in front of the, and that's great. But that's just not for my lifestyle. It's not for who I am or who I plan to be. And it took me a successful album to realize that. As the trajectory was going and going and going, I was like, at one point, I'm like, keep the touring moving and keep the fans who listen moving, but let's pull back on, Crest white strips with your, I guess let's
okay, you're not gonna sell any flat tummy tees on Instagram.
Damn it!
No.
I would totally have bought it from Jon Bellion.
I need some, so I was just wondering. I would have used your promo
I need
code.
some too. I'm gonna say.
No, you don't.
So for the man that is known for his artistry, his production, his music, his lyrics, and whatnot, how about we get to know you now through some dad jokes?
Oh, all right, yeah.
He's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, let's do it.